Ken Jennings has promoted his upcoming trivia book at a questionable moment. Fans accused on Twitter the Jeopardy Masters host has come under fire for stepping back in as host of the regular show for episodes being taped during the Good Writers Strike. Ken 48 tweeted on Saturday, "My book, 100 Places to After You Die, comes out in less than a month. And it's also going to be available as an audiobook. Pre-order your copy today and start listening on June 18th. The game show millionaire also shared the cover of his new trivia book under the tweet, while prompting his near 5 million followers to buy it. The tweet wasn't received well by all Jeopardy fans given the current climate in the TV world. One person replied, "You're a writer. Interesting." Another wrote, "Oh man, you should have waited until after it came out to scab." Literally turned thousands of poll readers like me onto someone unable to support it. Won't be purchasing a book that will benefit a scab. Hashtag support W blasted a third, a fourth, snarked, referring to the book's title. "Do you have to cross picket lines to go to any of these places? Seems like a thing you do." Ken has not spoken out about his decision not to support the strike, though some fans have come to his defense as well. Ken crosses the picket line. The Writer Guild of America WIDA announced on May 1st that it was going on strike after weeks of talks with Netflix, Amazon, Sony, Jeopardy's parent company, and more fell through. Picket lines assembled the following day as writers protested over their contracts and pay. Ken's co-host mayim bowed out of hosting the last week of Jeopardy's current season, as reported by Deadline, and Ken stepped back in as a result. The Big Bang Theory alum is standing in solidarity with the writers on strike during the episodes that were shot from May 16th to May 19, which aired generally 2 months after they are taped. Jeopardy's decade-long writers are striking too, and even thanked mayim for her solidarity. On Twitter, writer Mark Gaberman wrote at Miss Mayim, "This means more to us than we could ever say. Thank you so much." Hashtag Givajuji. A strong longtime writers Billy Wiss and Michelle Loud striking as well. Also recently told Variety, "Our words are on the screen every night. There is no Jeopardy without writers. Without us, it's just an empty blue screen." Billy Wiss said he wants to be fairly compensated for the labor you give. They're asking some people to work day to day. Another Jeopardy writer said supporting those going through many room experiences of even smaller writing staffs on streaming platform shows they never tried to make it a gig economy before. Billy was said there was always some sense that writers were partners in it. Jeopardy features a small staff of WIDA writers, and the clues were theoretically also written well in advance of the strike. Ken was supposed to be off the board until the next season begins in September, and Ken has been criticized on social media for returning to the set. As a result, Ken gets called a scab by celeb. Will Wheaton is an actor who competed on Celebrity Jeopardy earlier this year, placing in the finals against winner Rick Barinholtz and Patton Oswalt. He called out Ken directly on Twitter. He has the choice to support his fellow workers or to support management who are exploiting them. He's made his choice. It's like this. Did you cross a picket line? If yes, you are a scab who turned your back on organized labor. If no, you're a decent person who stands with your fellow workers. The 50-year-old wrote. One fan recently tweeted, "May is also a WIA member, whereas Ken is not." The controversy began innocuously enough. Jennings took to social media announcing his new project with great enthusiasm, excited to share that "I'm working on a new trivia show for streaming service. Get ready for a fun twist on what we all love." He tweeted, accompanied by a flashy graphic and a release date. Fans flooded the comments with praise, eager to support the host they had grown to love through his years on Jeopardy. Yet as the news spread, so did the criticism. Within hours of social media platforms erupted with a wave of discontent. Many users noticeably silent regarding the writer strike that had recently brought Hollywood to a standstill. The Writer Guild of America WIGA was fighting for fair pay, better working conditions, and protections against the rising tide of artificial intelligence threatening to replace Creative jobs critics argue that by promoting his new venture, Jennings was dismissing the struggles of the very writers whose work had contributed to his success. Ken Jennings is cashing in on trivia, while writers are struggling to make a living wage, one Twitter user lamented. It's hard to take him seriously as a champion of knowledge when he won't stand up for those who create the content. The backlash was swift, and brutal comments flooded in from fans and fellow entertainers alike. Actors and writers, many of whom were actively participating in the strike, expressed their disappointment. "The irony is rich," remarked one actor who had worked with Jennings in the past. "Here's a guy who made a fortune off trivia and knowledge, yet he refuses to support the very people who craft the words he says on television." In the midst of the uproar, Jennings attempted to clarify his stance in a follow-up tweet. He wrote, "I support the writer strike and the important work being done. However, I also have to think about my career. This project is something I've been passionate about for years." While some applauded his attempt at reconciliation, others felt it was a feeble excuse for his lack of action. The situation escalated when a prominent writer, whose credits included several beloved game shows, openly challenged Jennings on social media. "It's disheartening to see someone like Ken, who has benefited so much from our work, choose to prioritize his career over solidarity with writers." They wrote, "We're not just fighting for our livelihoods. We're fighting for the future of storytelling." The backlash forced Jennings into a corner. He was faced with the difficult task of balancing his career ambitions with the moral imperative to support those who had paved the way for him. Many in the industry were left wondering whether Jennings would choose to stand by his fellow creators or forge ahead with his new project. As the weeks went on, the public outcry only intensified. Online petitions began circulating urging Jennings to withdraw from the trivia project until the writer's strike reached a fair resolution. Fans, previously enamored by his charm and intellect, were now questioning his integrity. "It's not about just trivia anymore," one fan wrote. "It's about respect and standing with those who create." The controversy prompted discussions about the broader implications of the strike. It wasn't just a battle for ages, it represented a fundamental shift in how creative work is valued in the age of streaming services and artificial intelligence. As Jennings's project loomed on the horizon, critics highlighted the need for industry leaders to understand the importance of solidarity in an increasingly precarious landscape.